Harry Clark is a young soldier stationed in Cyprus, where he meets Xanthi. But within weeks of the birth of their daughter, Harry leaves to join the Special Forces, and in Iraq he is shot and left for dead. That's the start of a brand new thriller, set in Devon and Cyprus, by Graham, who is actually in front of me at the moment. Graham, how do you pronounce your surname?
Sclater, silent C.
Good grief.
A very old Exeter name.
Sclater.
All the nurseries going back 200-300 years. The Market Gardens, Cowick Street, Southern Hay, Haven Banks, Flower Pot.
Good grief, Flower Pot, where I used to play as a child, which doesn't exist anymore. It's under houses, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Cycle Speedway down there. I loved it. Yeah.
Cycle Speedway?
Yeah.
God, now you're taking me back. And that's not why you're here. The new book.
Yeah.
Without giving too much away, the storyline on this?
Well, it's a guy who's been hard done by while he was in the Special Forces, which a lot of people write about. I've only used that as a way of giving him some character and backstory, really. But yeah, Harry Clark was badly injured, left for dead in Iraq, and 20 years later, he's back in Cyprus, where he originally met Xanthi, as you've said, and his nemesis reappears, the guy Malik, who left him for dead, and there is a vendetta which kicks off very early on, and a very untimely end for one of them.
Yeah, right, leave it there. Leave it there. Did you go to Cyprus? Have you have any experience of Cyprus?
Lots of times. I always research my novels. Been all over, not all over the world, but certainly all over Europe. Spend a lot of time researching, and I really believe any author should do that, because you've got to get the feel of the place, the restaurants, the food, the drink, the ambience, what it's like in the winter, what it's like in the summer. When I wrote Love Shack, which was set over 18 months in Amsterdam, I went back each season to get a feel of what it was really like, you know. And I honestly think you can't write just by, you know, looking on Google or things like that. You've got to experience it, watch people react to certain things. You just need a lot of background before you start writing, in my opinion.
You have? Yes. Actually, I was in Cyprus a couple of years ago, and it's very odd still to go up to, now what's it called, the Green Line? The Green Line, which is still there. Things abandoned. It's
yeah, I know. Well, it was a bit like Berlin in the 60s when I was there as a musician. You know, you had the sort of the eastern side, really, and the underground, which went overground through part of Berlin. And it was just like the war had finished yesterday, you know. Terrible, really. There
is still, I believe, an abandoned car showroom within that Green Line between, what's it called? It's Paralimni, and you walk up to, I can't remember the actual.
I don't know all the names.
I can't remember the names, but anyway, there was a car showroom there, and there are cars in there which are, and I think it's a Japanese car company. Never moved, never touched. And the Japanese keep writing to both sides, Turkish and to British. Can we have them back? We want to see how they've survived.
Of course, yeah.
They're nearly 50 years old, for heaven's sake. Fantastic. So this story, actually, I've got to say, does beg to be adapted for television. Well, I did. I tell you what happened. I was over in Cyprus on holiday about 5 years ago, and I started writing a TV series called Pebble on the Beach. And I said to the guest relations at the hotel, I said, can you take me to Cyprus Broadcasting? He said, what do you mean? I said, just phone them up, tell them you've got a writer here on the island. She got me in, and they took an option on it. Wow. Yeah, but the problem was they had that massive crash financially over there, didn't they? They did, yeah. And that killed it off, unfortunately. So I thought, well, I've got the idea. I went back to Cyprus again, got more of a knowledge of it, and then I started writing the book. So that came out of it, really. This is your own company. You publish the books yourself. Is it going well? Very well. Oh yeah. I mean, we obviously sell in England and Europe, but then on Amazon across the world, sales are great. I get my little report every month, and the money then comes across. Ebooks as well. Yeah. It's great. Straight into the bank. So providing you've got all your bank details, you're legitimate as a company. You pay your taxes and everything else, then yeah, you can sell it through Amazon. So, and they will print them for us, which is wonderful. Yeah, it sounds a good deal. It's great. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously working for you. So what's next? When I'm working on a sequel to Love Shack, which was the book set in Amsterdam, and that's called I Will Survive. All my books, where I can, are song titles, and Cowboys.
in there,
George
Michael.
George Michael, yeah.
Yeah, and all the chapters are song titles, which are relevant to, really, to the chapter, the contents, loosely. So if you listen to the lyrics of the music, you'll then actually hear or know about what's happening in that chapter.
Too Big to Cry. Yeah. More Than a Woman, of course. Hatred is the Key.
That wasn't. You did me on that one about 6 years ago.
Yeah, that's
right. Historical. Yeah. Set in Dartmore Prison, if you remember.
Yeah, I know. I recognise
that. Yeah, and I couldn't think of a song from 200 years ago. You can understand why.
I can understand why. What did you play?
I played Hammond organ.
No. Not out of the floor with the diddly.
No, that's I don't know what that is. A cinema organ, I suppose. No, I played Hammond organ. I mean, back in the 60s, I was one of the few people with a Hammond organ. And everyone used it when we did gigs, you know. Everyone wanted to play it because they hadn't played one before.
So this is before Moog and all that sort of stuff? This is
it's the 60s, when I lived in Hamburg, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, which my first novel was based on, Ticket to Ride, of course.
Indeed. And did you ever meet the Beatles?
No, just missed them.
Really?
Yeah, I met one of the girlfriends of George Harrison, which I put into the book. It's a novel, but I did put that in. It's very sad, though, when you meet people that have gone over the hill with the job they do.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yes. Just occasionally we come across this. But that's a fascinating background you've got. And actually, wasn't McCartney arrested in Hamburg for... he was, for attempted arson.
Yeah, George Harrison was kicked out because he was only 17. I was there when I was 16. But because they caused problem in the little flat they lived in above the Top 10 Club in the Reeperbahn, they grabbed him and hoofed him out. But they went back when he was 18, so they were able to go back. But they were there for ages. I mean, they did 300 nights at the Star Club.
Grief.
Yeah, and it set their music. I mean, when I talk on cruises, the last one I was on, I talked about the 60s and my time in Hamburg. And I call Hamburg the cradle of rock because had you not had that sort of event 5-10 years over there with British bands going over playing music every night, 6-7 hours a night, every night of the week, every night of the month, a month at a time contract. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't have got the Beatles sound, Searchers. Rolling Stones had never played there, but most bands did. So you've got what I call the real sound, and they learn their instruments, which is a problem now with musicians, of course. You know, they rehearse for a couple of times a week, do a few gigs, record in their bedroom, and may make it, may not. But in those days, you actually had to serve your apprenticeship, which of course you did. It's what you did.
Yeah, there's a book there as well, the German link. Because obviously Elvis Presley was stationed over there in the American Army. I think Hendrix as well.
Yeah, he was. Sure. Yeah, I played with him in Sweden. I jammed with him in '67 on my Hammond.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was the man like? I mean, everyone said he was actually quite shy.
He was very shy, and I'm quite embarrassed now at the time, or from the time, because I found out, I watched the documentary, and he said he never had a voice. He didn't like singing. And when we were playing on stage, the four of us, we jammed for a couple of hours. I said to him, you're gonna sing? And no, he didn't want to sing. So we just played instrumentals. We just jammed. He'd start a riff, or I'd start a riff, and we'd just play until we had enough of that feel or whatever, and then we'd start again on something else. But very shy guy, very shy indeed.
Anyone else you want to throw into this? We forget your books.
No, but I think what's happened, Fitz, having done that, it's let me see things from a different angle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Having played and been in the music for so long, you remember a lot of the events and things, which you can then mould slowly into the stories you're writing. You know, it just blends in all right because it's a different sort of experience, which I believe makes my writing very different to a lot of other authors.
I wish you every success for the future. And are you actually going to do your own life story?
No, someone's asked me to do it, but no, I don't really want to. No, you know, all right, people know me, but not well known. Do you know what I mean? And it just wouldn't work. That's why I wrote Ticket to Ride as a novel, because I was able then to build it around 4 or 5 guys from the Southwest, and I am in there, but not as me totally. I'm a combination of other people, as all the others are.
The family would recognise you, but others wouldn't.
Yes.
Okay. Mind you, if you were hanging around the Reeperbahn, maybe some sort of anonymity.
I always worry about someone knocking on my front door and saying, "Dad."
Oh, no.
Well, you do, don't you, from those days, you know? Or Grandad even.
Sadly, listen, yeah, mate, that's reality. That's the problem. Graham, it's an absolute pleasure. The book is out now. How do we get it?
You can get it from tabithabooks.webs.com or on Amazon. But just remember, if you're looking for any of my books, and there's 7 out now, the Sclater is spelled Sclater. So you will find it on there. So it's Graham Sclater, and it's, I say, any of the books. Some are thrillers, historical, but the thrillers, I think, are quite gritty. More Than a Woman is a very gritty novel.
Okay.
Very gritty novel.
I just say in the background, I didn't realise the name. It just really threw me. Actually, there was another one. Wasn't there the big gardeners in Exeter called Veitch?
Yeah, Veitch, yeah. Slaters and Veitch were the people, really. I think they built Princess Gardens.
They did.
Or Princess Gardens. But yeah, it was us and Veitch, and I'm doing a talk next month at one of the churches, actually, in Exeter, about my great-grandfather. They asked me to do a talk about him, and they're going to show me where his grave is, because we can't find it.
Oh!
So I'm doing an hour's talk, and I'm really looking forward to that, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. You're a busy man.
Very.
Lovely. Great to have met you last week up
Yeah.
in Exeter.
Yeah.
My regards to your daughter.
Thank you. Gina, yeah?
Gina's doing good things.
Yeah, dementia champion 2 years ago from the Alzheimer's Society, yeah.
And I know they happen to be in the building in a few moments' time.
Yeah. And of course she's got a British Empire medal now. She's got to get that soon.
She kept that quiet?
Yeah.
She didn't tell me?
Well, she's a bit embarrassed about it.
I know.
Yeah.
No, good for her.
Lovely.
Cheers, Graham.
Thank you very much indeed.
There's a phone call coming in from Hamburg. I can see it.
I can see that now. Double H.